Good evening. Was it guilt, or was it sympathy, or was it a demented mind?
An intruder attacks a woman and then helps nurse her back to health. The New Jersey woman was badly beaten in her own home, but even through her pain, she couldn't help but be astonished by what the burglar did next. It was a frightening Jekyll and Hyde performance. News 4's Stephen Dunlop reports.
Leonia is a Bergen County suburb where the crime blotter rarely lists anything more serious than a burglary or a car theft. But police can't remember a more bizarre case here than one reported early Wednesday morning on Hillside Avenue. A 40-year-old woman was in bed with the TV on when she heard a loud crash against the wind chimes on her upstairs porch.
She got up to investigate, and she was confronted by a male who at that point assaulted her with a 10-inch Coke bottle.
The woman, whose identity police are protecting, was struck at least 8 times with the Coke bottle. She suffered injuries to her head, chin, and hand. But then suddenly, and for no apparent reason, the attacker changed his tone. He offered to find his nightshirt-clad victim a pair of blue jeans to put on. He found her a blanket when she said she was cold, and he even got her a towel in which she could wrap her injured head.
And then brought her a telephone to call assistance. He stayed with her approximately 20 or 30 minutes, holding her hand, assuring her that she would be okay, and then left the dwelling.
Police quoted the attacker as telling the victim before he left, "I didn't hit you that hard. Let me check the wound. It doesn't look that bad. I don't want to go to jail." The incident left neighbors stunned and more than a little scared.
I'm scared. I really am scared right now, because you never know what can happen. Even if this is a quiet town, you don't know where people come from.
If the woman did know her attacker, police say it's odd that she could provide them with only a sketchy description and apparently did not recognize the sound of his voice. The more likely explanation, officials say, is that they're dealing with a peeping Tom in one of the strangest peeping Tom cases they've ever seen. Steve Dunlop, News 4, Leonia.
And this note, the woman was supposed to get married on Saturday.
Well, Nassau County's top cop says gunwoman Amy Fisher and confessed serial killer Joel Rifkin have given the county a bad rap. D.A. Dennis Dillon says actually the crime rate in Nassau is lower than it's been in years, lower than Suffolk, he says, or Westchester. The number of murders in 1992 was 24 compared to 42 in 1991. The number of reported burglaries was 6,596 compared to more than 7,200 in 1991. And here's one crime making the record books in Nassau. The police say they found 4 guns in the trunk of a car at Syosset High School. One of them was a powerful AK-47 assault weapon. Police are charging 17-year-old Stuart Wildstein, a student there, with illegally possessing them. The police say an anonymous phone tip led them to the guns and to the teenager.
Well, tonight a crime-busting canine is being credited with nabbing a gun-toting teenage robbery suspect in the Bronx. Kevin Rosen has a report.
You talk about taking a bite out of crime. Well, meet Yodi, a 2.5-year-old, 125-pound Rottweiler. She's employed by the Allerton Security Company, which patrols the Allerton housing complex. It was on patrol with security captain Ricardo Garcia and Sergeant Catherine Lugo that Yodi sprung into action. Police say 16-year-old LeVar Legary had just robbed a livery cab at gunpoint and fled in Yodi's direction. A cab driver pointed out the suspect to Captain Garcia as he was patrolling around the housing complex. The suspect ran into this housing project across the street. Captain Garcia gave chase and finally cornered him at the entrance of one of the buildings.
I had his hands. I was holding his hands as I was struggling with him. As I looked down on his hand, I saw what appeared to be a weapon.
It was a sawed-off pump shotgun. Trained to sniff out weapons, Yodi leaped, snatching the bag and gun from the suspect's hands before he could grab the weapon.
I gave her enough slack, just enough to get in there and take a bite of the bag. And
how do you pay a dog back for what she did, becoming a hero?
T-bone steaks.
Police credit the security company and its hero dog with good police work.
This is a perfect example of community policing. It's, it's everyone working together towards the same end.
Even a dog.
Even the dog.
And just in case you might be thinking about crime in Yodi's domain, well, here's what she has to say. And believe it, her bite is worse than her bark. In the Bronx, Kevin Rosen, News 4, New York.
Well, the suspect is charged with stealing $8, a watch, and 2 rings from the cab driver.
Well, it's happened again for the second time within a month. EMS pronounced a person dead, but to everybody's surprise, the person was not. The latest incident happened last night when 86-year-old Ferdinand Elkins suffered a heart attack and she was pronounced dead in her Park Avenue co-op. The doctors and paramedics tried to revive the woman for 45 minutes before they declared her dead. But then as they were packing up, they suddenly noticed a change in the cardiac monitor and they rushed her to Mount Sinai Hospital. Doctors say this doesn't always happen.
But has it ever happened to you where you've declared someone dead and they're not dead?
No, I've never declared somebody dead who has not been dead.
Mrs. Elkin is still listed in critical condition at this hour. EMS is investigating.